Hello and welcome to Minor Studies. My name is and in this episode I'll be talking to you about Mother Superior Calderon, a cheerful and caring nun who does all she can to help others, especially strangers and the needy from Red Dead Redemption 2. Mother Superior Calderon, or Sister Calderon, is a Mexican woman about the age of 50. In a conversation with the main protagonist Arthur Morgan, Sister Calderon reveals that she had a husband prior to becoming a nun, providing some sort of internal views that someone who'd been celibate may not. When you first meet Sister Calderon, she is only a minor character who seems to not serve much of a purpose, but in her final scene, her importance is truly shown. After the mission of Men and Angels, a cutscene between Sister Calderon and Arthur begins to play. Arthur tries to hide his pain, sickness, and emotions from her, but ever persistent as she is, and due to Arthur's violent coughing, Sister Calderon questions Arthur until he's had no other choice but to tell her that he had contracted tuberculosis. He tells her that he had contracted tuberculosis from a man he had beaten to collect a debt that was owed to Arthur's gang. As he says this, a very somber tune begins to play, emphasizing the internal struggle that Arthur had gone through. Arthur begins to tell Sister Calderon that he is a bad man and recounts some of the actions and events in his life that made him the way he is, to which Sister Calderon responds by telling Arthur that maybe the problem is that he doesn't truly know himself rather than others not truly knowing him. To connect with Arthur, Sister tells him that she often finds herself not believing in anything, but whenever she sees acts of love and kindness in the world, she begins to believe again, citing that she had seen Arthur committing numerous acts of kindness towards others and smiling while doing so. In the penultimate moment of the scene, Arthur's regular demeanor disappears as his eyes begin to water and a frown he attempts to hide forms. He says to Sister Calderon, "I guess I'm afraid." From this 1,000-yard stare in his eyes and the expression on his face, it's clear to see that Arthur sees himself as a bad man and that there's no possibility of redemption. Sister Calderon sees Arthur's face full of sadness and regret and responds, "There's nothing to be afraid of, Mr. Morgan. Take a gamble that love exists and do a loving act." Sister Calderon serves as the catalyst to push Arthur to redemption, despite all the violent acts he's committed. RDR2 is a violent game. You're a cowboy who shoots people who need shooting and beat people who need beating. You can lasso a random person and drag them across the ground while riding on your horse at top speed, and you are actively encouraged to hunt animals for profit. So in an otherwise extremely violent game with little repercussions for your actions, why is the point of honor and putting others before yourself stressed so much? The character that this entire paper has been about is a nun, a woman devoted to God who stresses acting in a manner that positively affects the lives of others around you, as well as acting in a manner to better yourself. News and other media often like to vilify video games as works of the devil that do nothing but cause violence. With this point, video games don't cause violence, and the rumor that they do is only spread because those who say they do not play video games and are uneducated on the subject. The question of whether video games can cause violence has plagued the world for decades. Many of those who support the idea that they do have given the argument that the young minds of those who play video games absorb this violence and then in turn become more violent. This idea is supported by the claim that video games train those who play them to be able to use firearms or commit acts of violence. However, YouTuber The Act Man asks the question of if anyone who owns a firearm has found a video game that can 100% match a real firearm. Logic would say no. The Act Man shows this by saying they're just games. They do not and cannot represent reality. You can't shoot a gun in a game and instantly buy a gun and figure out how it works right away. So the argument that shooter games train people and children to be killers is completely absurd. The Act Man is an experienced gamer, like millions of people around the world. However, many of the people who conduct studies or make claims on how video games can cause violence are uneducated on the matter, biased, and unwilling to change their lines of reasoning. Surprisingly, NBC supports this message. NBC's news cited a quote from the Entertainment Software Association, which stated more than 165 million Americans enjoy video games and billions of people play video games worldwide. Yet other societies where video games are played as avidly do not contend with the tragic levels of violence that occur in the US. To say video games themselves cause violence is by all accounts an uneducated claim and a gross generalization when books, TV shows, and films also portray this violence, sometimes to an even greater extent. Red Dead Redemption 2, by all accounts, is a violent game. You're a cowboy who shoots people who need shooting and beat people who need beaten. You can lasso a random person and drag them across the ground while riding on your horse at top speed, and you are actively encouraged to hunt animals for profit. This was stated previously, and I bring it back up because hearing this, one may begin to side with the argument that video games can cause violence. However, Mother Superior Calderon serves as a foil to this. In an otherwise violent video game, there's one arguably out-of-place character that stresses the importance of kindness and the notion of treating others the way you want to be treated. She's effectively a teacher, speaking almost directly to the player and imparting wisdom to be kind to others.